public comment after the meeting. If you have any public comment, I will do the prayer after that. Mr. McCray, please. First of all, we have a lot of bad things going on because the flood in California, ice free, killing people in the woods. We just a lot of silly things going on. We got wars and rumors of wars. We got everything going on. And guess what? I'm gonna take a moment of silence. How you call it? Just one moment of silence. All right, thank you. And gracious Father, we come to pray and give it our heart. Thank you for all the blessings you have bestowed on each and every one of us. Realize without you we could have accomplished anything. I thank you for this up this morning for us closing our right mind. We can run our home and our community, stand the sake of our prayer. When we call on us, and thank you. For I pray for the security, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the youth of this parents and this our ability. I pray for our country, our state, our parents, our community. I pray for our president, our governor, all elected officials and religious leaders for the kids that we have. Realize some terrible things going on, but realize you're the one control of it. Realize everything comes to you. And Father, please don't want to call. Be a voice for the voice of God. That's nothing wrong. And we're not financial power and stress and that's our ability. We realize we're going to be trying times. Things don't want to call us, Father. And Father, I pray for everyone from us in the world. I pray for their family this week. I pray for peace, understanding, continuity, Father. And have mercy. And Father, I pray everything that's there in your hearing. You be mine. In your honor, I pray on the ground. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
I swear allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you,
Mr. Dexter Armstead. Present. Mrs. Kristen Chastain. Mr. Michael Cheatham.
Here.
Mr. Kyle Flanagan.
Here.
Mr. Jason McCray.
Here.
Mr. Keith Mills.
Here.
Mr. Richard Olivo.
Here.
Dr. Chrissy Oakland. Here. President Louis Kent.
First edition adopted minutes from January 27, 2025 revenue. And the second, to approve advertising to rezone property at 1304 Highway 959, C2.
There's one more, Mr. Lewis. Can we get added to present the changes in the ordinances? For y'all to be able to set the public hearing for that?
We can set a public hearing, yes.
All right.
Public hearing.
Okay.
And set it here, public hearing for the ordinance.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Well, Mr. Mills.
Second.
Second by Mr. Armstead. Any discussion? Question from the audience. You all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The first thing is in the old business. Adopt minutes from January 27, 2025 resolution.
Move to accept.
Second by Mr. McCray. Any discussion? Question from the audience. You all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Adopt minutes from February 3rd, 2025 special meeting.
Move to accept.
You want to listen to? Second. Second by Dr. Quinn. Any discussion? Question from the audience. You all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda, adopt minutes from February 3rd, 2025 regular meeting. We have a special meeting dedicated for the regular, regular.
Yeah, that's for the regulation. Yeah, I'll make the motion.
Moved by Mr. Mills, second by Coach Hughes. Any discussion? Question from the audience? You all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda, new business. I would like to table two, 1 and 2, because we're gonna meet on the 20th of Wednesday, but the spring time. Let's see, let's see, we meet up on the 20th, this is all on the next meeting. We got that.
Second.
Second by Mr. Miller. Any discussion? Question from the audience? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, discuss take action on submission of air gap grant. As you will apply for the rehab for the gap money to restore the renovation that DPW and showers and other things before the state does the work. We have applied for the gap for those work. If a shower, female shower, male shower, going to stuff from the school, you can get done any work.
But this is just for information.
No,
Take
like,
action.
yeah, take action.
So we need to vote to look forward?
Yeah, move.
So moved. Second.
Second, no discussion.
Is that what it was written,
Michelle?
or was
Everything was fine.
The grant, so I did the submission and it was, to renovate the DPW building for the crews to be able to stay overnight.
To accommodate this party?
Yeah, but this is only work.
Yeah.
So just for, it didn't specify what type of renovations, just renovations for them to be able to stay.
how much?
I requested 140, but they put it for 100.
Any quite get them work.
And we have to close out
Two.
2 of the water works.
Yeah.
Grants have to be closed out before that money begin. Is that right?
We can't have big outstanding grants to send out. So we discussed them.
And there's been a, yeah.
We discussed them with. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda is discuss overflow of sewer system to property at 5536 Highway 10. Mr. Don Turner. Come to the mic, please.
Good afternoon, ladies.
State your name, please.
My name is Donald Turner. My address is 5536 Highway 10. Jackson, live in Upper City, Alabama, called Jackson. I have a problem with my next door neighbor sewer. It's steady running. It's pumping system now. It's supposed to have water issues. I had came to talk to Ms. King about this. And this been going on for many years before my baby sister, they took that house. And what I did, I can't get no assistance for him, but I tried to correct the sewer line. This Katie came out there and talked to him. He promised that he's gonna do this, he's gonna do that. He still haven't did anything. I tried talking to him. Well, man, look, I get to it, I get ready. So, I can't understand it. I had, Mr. Armstrong came by when he had the meeting up there in Jackson. He came by the house, he looked at it and everything. And he said, well, I'm gonna go see, talk to Mr. King. He verified that he had talked to her. He said, I waited on her call, but she still hadn't responded. And then when I do ask her, she says like this here, well, Mr. Turner, I'm gonna file it to Central. I said, well, what's Central got to do with parents over here? This is an experience in our parents. I have pictures, but he didn't tell me what to get them in law. You can sell them if you want to, because this is not necessary. And the reason I say that, I am living in a dangerous.
Let me just pick up on Mr. Turner's. I did go in there and look at it real quickly, and just call it the sewers. They got the sewer treatment plant tank or whatever is full at the top, and it's running from his backyard over into Mr. Turner's front yard, where he has been kind of running down in there, and it is a mess.
That's why we just send the health inspector out.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I was asking.
Caitlin, are you talking about?
I talked to this Kate numerous of times. She came, she looked at it and everything, well, Mr. Turner, I'm gonna try to get this done and talk to Mr. Wilson. That's it. Did she go to talk to him? She come back to where
he said he gonna take care of it. It haven't did anything. He haven't did anything. And instead of running, now this is the tip. When it's come to my driveway, it goes in another person's property. And from the other person's property, since they got trenches there down there, it's going over in the Resolute subdivision.
Well, maybe we need to take, submit a letter to him, get it sent by the DA.
So I do have something, I want to apologize to Mr. Armstead, because I did hear from Ms. Katie, later this evening. She was supposed to be at the last meeting, but, he wasn't able to make it. So she is off today, but what she did tell me that a compliance order is in process, and it's with their legal department, the state, and she admits that there is a problem, but it's with legal right now. And she's sorry that the process is taking longer. Once legal approves it, the compliance order, then, notice will be sent to the neighbor, and he'll have a certain amount of days to comply. And if he doesn't, then he'll be fined, daily. That's
So the
what.
ball's in action now, Mr. Turner. You should get straight now.
Yeah, cause that's the thing, he said it's big kind of action, but he was just kinda, he thought it was stalled out, and so that's why he wanted to come up.
Just stay up on
Yeah,
it.
so
It's
just-
in state hands right now. Once you get a ruling from the state, we can comply.
Okay, I really appreciate it. Like I said,
Keep it simple, Mr. Armstead.
Yes.
These people
Yeah,
bad.
yeah.
that's who keep me informed with the meeting and everything, so I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
He is my contact,
Yeah.
that's my contact.
Just start,
I really
nobody should be running, nobody else's problem in the state.
Exactly.
I totally agree with you.
I really appreciate the thought. The reason I said, it's bad on my health. I done had cancer twice. I done had operation on my bladder. I done had a double hernia. I just can't, keep out there and y'all steady breathing that raw soap. You understand? It's not, I said it was not right, it was not legal, but it's probably been going on for a long enough of time, but, it has nothing to happen.
We'll try to rectify it. for you. Thank
All
you.
right. And I appreciate y'all very much.
Next on the agenda is let's take action on CEA with city clerk for repairs to Lemonville Road. Do with Chastain.
We're gonna table that until, my grandma's not here. We'll table it until next week.
Motion second.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Question from the audience? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Next on the agenda, recommendation to hire two DPW employees. Well, I would approve that. Yeah. They approved.
Yeah, we told.
We hired two.
What they did, they hired two. and
Yeah,
come
I
back
two.
and hired two more.
He gave my daughter to do it already. The water was on the agenda.
They have the specifics. The specifics.
Who's here to talk about it?
State your name, please.
Kelsey Scales, Department of Public Works. So we knew that you guys approved to hire two people. We brought two specific people forward to be hired. What's his names? David Haynes as an operator, 2, and Jason Alexander as an operator 3.
This and that, hiring, so. With the paperwork and everything, we approved it months ago.
Hey, to the operator too?
Is that right?
Step 2.
Yes.
And then it's down to step 3?
So I know we usually, to keep up with the auditors, they ask for specifics in the meeting with the person.
And did you say that, how many more do they have?
They do.
If they can hire?
No, we had 4, they hired 2 more. This was
We don't
You
hire
don't
one.
hire one, that's a way to skip now.
Hire one more.
So they could just bring that, once he decides, they could just bring
Bring
that
that
person
name to the
in.
table. I make the motion we approve.
But this was, but that's approved. So you got one more hire. Please, ready from the audience. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next on, the community stuff, this committee, I don't have anything. What's the committee, like, which one?
We will have a meeting tomorrow at 5 o'clock to discuss overtime. And it'll be really mostly discussion on it. We'd like to have, anybody who ever gets overtime to be in attendance so we can listen.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Next finance chair, Mr. Kyle Prince.
Yes, sir. We have multiple items here. The first is recommendation to approve salary increase for coroner's employees retroactive to January of 2025. If you look in your packet, there are 4 positions with a per day amount included in there. The committee had question about whether the coroner's amount could be included in these numbers, and from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. DeQuilla, as long as the jury is fine with it, it's acceptable as well.
Correct.
That's what I thought.
Even though he's elected official,
Yeah, and y'all really make an agreement with the coroner's office about how y'all pay them. You know, we kind of go over that occasionally. You know, y'all can pay them by fees only, or salary only, or a combination of the two. And I think that y'all chose the least restrictive. That means y'all can pretty much do what y'all want as long as y'all are in agreement with that.
This is an increase amount from last year, like the figures that are on here.
That was the increased amount.
that's the fifth amount, okay, let's just,
That's their new pay scale.
it was 72,000 a year, go up.
We've already approved our budget, not including this, correct?
Was it included in that?
And
It
our
wasn't
budget-
included in the budget? No, it was
And our
not.
budget is still in shortfall. I vote no.
So how do you propose to do this? You wanna do you gonna amend the budget?
Mr. Rushan?
State your name, please.
John Rushan with the coroner's office. That raise was reflected in the budget. Y'all already approved the budget with that raise in it. And it comes up to, it was figured into the accounts when the financial advisor finished the total figures with what was approved in the budget. It came up a little over $1,000 for a year over the budget approved amount, because the budget is, as you say, a swag. But as he also stated in the finance meeting, that money can be made up in any other account, because a half of an autopsy will overpay that raise. So it's $1,000 was a negligible amount for him.
I do want to say something. So there was a budget approved, but a raise was not approved. This will, I don't think, like Scott said, it wouldn't, it's in their budget, but you're still watching your general fund budget. So it's completely up to you. It was not, the raise was not approved, because whenever entity wants a raise, they come before the police jury for approval. Mr. Sam does that for his people, the judge has done that. So there was no budget approved with raises. Just as you did ours. You approved the budget, but you also did a approval of raises. So I don't think it will go over what you have, but it's also one of those things, you know, if you're watching the general fund.
And this is gonna come out in the general fund, right?
Yeah, they're paid out of.
They're paid out of general fund right now. I think it's $260 something that will be a transfer from general fund to the coroner's fund.
260.
Approximately 200.
I was 60.
I don't know how to,
I'm just saying.
$1,000. That's how much the general fund is
For the corner.
for the corners. And before, you know, that came out of the health ministry, you know, different things.
Finance, Mr. Richard.
Y'all approve?
Well, at the time we approved, sorry, at the time we approved everything excluding the corner because we were waiting to get a response from Mr. DeQuilla as to whether we could or could not. So at the time, we had just approved the staff.
Because I had a question about the maybe an elected official, we increase the salary. Salary, we can do it because it's within the rest of the year, we can't do it.
And it was my understanding that we did not give them a raise the previous year. So whereas everybody else got a raise last year and this year, they didn't get a raise.
They aren't everybody else. Mr. DeQuilla only gets a raise for his people. He hasn't taken one, but for his people, when he brings it before the jury, the judge asks for a raise for her people. It may be 5, 6 years before she asks for a raise. Coroner's employees are not police jury employees, whereas when you say there's a raise for police jury employees, that's not coroner's employees. So just because they didn't get a raise last year, Mr. DeQuilla's people may not get, like I say, raises for 5 years. So they would have to approach you for a raise. They aren't due a raise every year. We aren't due a raise every year. I mean, it's at, you know, the police jury has to approve it. So just because they didn't get a raise last year, that doesn't mean.
Our administration, the coroner is a separate entity from the police jury. His employees are not employed by the jury, they're employed by the coroner's office.
And the coroner's responsible for paying these out of his budget, correct?
Exactly.
Sam, is that wrong?
That's correct.
That's correct.
Y'all, all y'all do is make an agreement with the coroner
coroner.
about how much y'all want to pay them. You know, y'all really need to stay out of the coroner's office.
Exactly.
Right now, y'all are kind of in the coroner's office. Y'all do a lot of stuff with the coroner's office. Y'all send out bills, you know, that's something that y'all do, but it's a separate office. So if y'all,
It's totally different.
if y'all want to make an agreement with them to give them a raise, y'all can do that. You know, if you have the funds to do that.
We spaced out right now.
I make a motion not approve it.
Have a second? Motion not-
Carl, were y'all making a motion to approve or what?
To, yes, the approve, like I said, the deputy and the all the way through, and then the on-call per day amount.
But not the coroner, because we didn't know whether the coroner could even get a raise.
Yes, the coroner
for that.
itself could get
So
a
we were
raise.
looking at the employees.
But I always stated, coroner was a separate entity from the police jury. He's an elected official for the parish, not for the jury. He's a parish elected official. He's a parish coroner. You don't work for the jury.
Can I ask this people to
Please do.
Mr. DeQuilla, I want to ask you, when you said that we're involved a lot in the coroner's
In the
business,
business.
we cut their checks, are you saying this is something that does not have to come through this office?
What, their raises?
Their, bills, like, their bills, we cut checks and everything for them through here. Now, Mr. JR, he gets the bills, he looks at them, sign off on them and say, yes, this needs to be paid, but we actually cut the checks, send them off and all that kind of stuff. So is that something, once the money is, budgeted for them, is that something that they could take care of themselves if something is drawn up and that's what they agree on with the police jury? Are we doing more?
They should be doing
But
it for the coroner's
you're
office.
doing work for them and not getting paid for
Well,
it.
no, we work
You're
for the
doing work
coroner's
for
office. We're not
another
working for
entity
the
and not getting.
But we do
The coroner's issue has been an issue for 15 years.
It has.
I mean, y'all been through a lot with the coroner's office, sued y'all, whatever. You know, y'all, the new coroner came in, y'all made an agreement with them. We're gonna do certain things for you. We're gonna send bills out for you. We're gonna collect money for you, whatever y'all do. You know, that's things that y'all do for them. You know, and it's not really appropriate to talk about all that right now. You know, the main thing before it right now is we should give them Race Club. I mean, that's strictly up to y'all right now. The other issues probably need to be addressed at finance.
We will, because we don't work for the corner.
I would like to ask one question though. When we send bills to the towns,
The corner.
we get, when the coroner sends the bills to the towns, the money comes back here. Where does it go?
Corner fund.
Coroner's fund in our general fund.
No.
That's corner. The corner. Period. The corner fund.
Coroner's fund is a part of our general fund.
No.
Corner fund, man, I mean, it's not over there for money, man. You got one, $264,000 a year. But now we're taking care of the corner, we working for him, that's what it looks like.
And they want to raise for us working for them.
That's what it looks like. Give them a raise, we working for him.
A lot of misinformation flying around here. First of all, the coroner's fund is funded by the general fund now, which is done correctly. However, the coroner's fund is a police jury account. Nobody in the coroner's office has authority to cut checks on police jury checks. Even if they're from the coroner's fund, that is a police jury fund. It is a separate fund, it's kept separate, it's budgeted separate, because everybody wants to know how the different entities go. It's like the criminal court fund. I mean, you don't, Sam doesn't cut checks for his secretaries or his assistant DAs or whatever, I'm sure. It comes out of here. They have a whole bank of checks in there for all the different funds. They're not doing things for us. The one thing about the invoices that go out, in the original agreement 2 years ago, the police jury pays half of my salary because I do the invoices for the jury. Last year, that came over $43,000, got reimbursed from the towns and villages that had never been gotten before. Not because this office didn't have the information to do it, they just never did it. Now the invoices go out every month to the towns and villages, and we get checks in. I just got a check in for about $5,000 from the state today for DCI and Warbez, I think.
My question is this.
But it goes into the coroner's fund as a reimbursement for coroner expenses.
My concern is this. You were just a secretary for the coroner's office, investigator, right? Why the coroner or the assistant don't come to our meeting and act as if he himself? You speak for him, but I never heard the coroner say anything.
He signed a letter. I mean, the signature, he doesn't come because the last year, I'll give you a little history thing right quick. Last year, when y'all had your finance meeting, we talked about the budget, Dustin was sitting there, Doc was sitting there, and Dustin did all the talking, and y'all agreed that, oh yeah, we were gonna get 3% raise.
That was the year before last.
That was in 24, January, December 23, 24. Last year, not this year.
No, it wasn't this year's budget.
No, it was last year. Although they did submit the budget for this year, and the money was in there for the raise. The thing we don't have exact amounts on is because we don't know what the percentages and the benefits are. So we can only figure salary and based on what the last 12 months showed up to be. But it was done, it was in the budget, figured with this raise was in there, and it was identified in there. In the budget submission that came from the coroner's office, the raise.
Well, right now, we shouldn't even be discussing this. This is not on the agenda. And this is some business that should be taken care of between the coroner's office and the finance committee. And right now, we have no business discussing that in this open meeting right now. None of this.
We got a question on the floor, to not approve the payment. Got a motion to discuss. All in favor? Any opposed? Any opposed? So you want me to pay?
Who's opposed?
I'll agree with myself. Item B is recommendation to approve repairs to HVAC at the parish prison to an amount of $164,720 funded from ARPA.
And the reason for this, we'll have to get only one country, in the whole country, that does this kind of work. So we don't. State your name, please.
Kenny Sanders. I know we only have one quote, and it's kind of the way it was with the controls, the previous one that, y'all approved, even the parish manager, he called the company that happened trying to get the quote, and he couldn't even get me to call him back. There's not a whole lot of companies that do stuff that like working inside prison, I guess, so, Star was the only company that I could get, come give a quote. Carrier came up, once they saw what it was, they wouldn't come back, so they wouldn't want to touch it, so. That's why we have the one, that's why we got the one quote.
And Mr. Democrat, you call the company, not common courtesy, you call them back.
Yeah.
We tried.
Well, we discussed it in advance, we can go ahead and make an attempt to try, we sure that we tried to do it, so, I mean, you done what you could do.
Thank you, Mr. King. We do.
You do the work quick, you got your other project done?
Nah, it's just.
Oh, man.
You got a motion to all the things.
Yeah, you got Thank you, y'all.
Warden Sanders, just be thinking, of your next project. We'd like to review that at our upcoming finance committee meeting.
Yeah, the next project is going to be camera system because of some of the other issues we had. Camera system would help us, but we're going to get some help from someone that's gonna loan me their IT guy, and we're gonna purchase the equipment, cameras, and things like that. We're gonna use labor there to install it, and what it probably would do, it's gonna save, be 60% saving on what we would do if we was outsourcing. So we're just gonna get the equipment, and we got skilled people to install it. So that's gonna help in the next project.
Wonderful. Thank you, sir. All right, moving right along, we're gonna go to item C, recommendation to approve purchase of vehicles for DPW. What that doesn't say is the types of vehicles. So the recommendation was for 2 3/4-ton equivalent pickup trucks. Yes, sir. And then 3 half-ton pickup trucks.
That's purchase on Road Bridge.
Yes, sir. Purchased from Road Bridge.
Can we not use state surplus? And I agree, I would like to have nice things too, to have nice trucks. It would look great to have nice trucks on the road, but our roads are terrible. Old Liberty South, for instance. We need to fix that road. I mean, these trucks are gonna have asphalt on the back of it. They're gonna have people behind a rotor grader. So we're gonna spend that kind of money whenever you can get one with 30, 40, 50,000 miles in state surplus for a fraction of the cost. In good faith, I can't, but I think the director and the fair manager should have a vehicle, but I can't in good faith.
And what were the trucks, what determined we needed 4 trucks? What, and who were the trucks for, Frosty, I guess?
No, Frosty coming, no, not
No.
Frosty, already got his coming.
Okay.
Mr. David and Frosty spoke on behalf of this to us, and they had multiple vehicles get disrepaired, basically go out of service. Is that correct, Mr. McCray? Is that what you understood?
We spend more money on maintenance and fixing things out than it would take to go and buy those trucks, and for the next 10 or 15 years, we recoup all that money back, because it costs us money to operate. The truck's 10 or 15 years old.
And that was how they sold it to us.
So is this gonna come out of Road and Bridge?
Yes.
I'm not saying they don't need trucks, but it's hard for me to say, yeah, I want to buy a truck when we have roads in bad shape
They're
like
in the
that.
shape they're in. I mean, I've seen
I mean,
places
that's-
that get
that's
rolled over the
from-
south. I mean, it's more than just it needs grout off. You couldn't, I mean, the whole road. needs to
Yeah,
be
it's a bunch of them.
I mean, you're gonna have all these nice trucks riding on terrible roads in there.
And I-
Will it look nice to have them? Absolutely.
I don't disagree with you, but I want to let Ms. Kelsey speak on behalf of the DPW.
Kelvin? So I do want to state that we do have trucks that are barely even starting to get to the jobs. We have trucks that are being repaired by other trucks. So it's really hard for our workers to get to their jobs.
I understand that, but does it have to be a
brand new truck, a 2025 truck, why can't it be something from surplus that's a year, 2, 3 years old?
What she's trying to ask is if, have y'all entertained looking at possibly getting some trucks off the state contract? Or they got some people that take these trucks and run them, they get 50,000 miles on them, and then come back and put them up for sale or whatever.
For a fraction.
Mr. KJ, would you like to add anything,
Yes, we
please?
drive 20 miles a day.
Wait a minute, take the minute.
Kelvin Johnson.
Okay, Mike.
Kelvin Johnson, vehicle driver, DPW. We drive 2 million miles a day to get a used vehicle. Right now, I done took one truck to make a truck. We carpooling, we are carpooling every day. When I come to work in the mornings, I let the employees take the truck that I should be riding around and check on you guys with. I let them take their truck to actually do their jobs. That's the only way we're getting to our job now. I understand the used vehicle, but I'm gonna tell you now, all changes and all that, we should be still in the foot. That's what we're using used vehicles now, and every day I have to give an employee a lot of oil.
I mean, I've read those trucks are old, that you can get gently used vehicles. I'm beating a dead horse, so.
Ms. Hogan?
I think there's good ones out there.
I'm not,
So go ahead.
Go ahead, Ms. Hogan.
I'm not, in agreement with necessarily going to surplus, because I think we may be really shooting ourselves in the foot if we go to surplus. But you've got places like Enterprise that sell gently used vehicles.
I'm saying anywhere, I don't care if it's state surplus, I don't care if it's Joe Blow down the road, I don't care who it is.
Right.
It doesn't have to be a brand new vehicle.
I mean, when we had to buy the coroner vehicle, it came from Enterprise, and it's been a pretty good vehicle. I mean, all things considered, that it was used, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we just about
We've been beating this horse for the last 5 or 6 months now. They're making sure we go buy a used truck, or we go buy a new truck. Making sure that right now, they quit procrastinating, because things ain't getting no better.
No, we still driving.
Now, let me see what y'all wanna do tonight. We don't wait till 6 weeks or 6 months down the road, we still debating on buying trucks. So what's the play gonna do? What's the city gonna make?
I make a motion to fund a used vehicle. You could probably get more vehicles for your money than this.
For all of them.
Well, have we tried, you raised your hand, have we tried that already?
That I don't know, but I just wanted to make a comment that these are brand new trucks with their base model, and they're 36,000.
I mean, I don't care, you can get them.
That's all.
You can't go to.
36,275 truck.
We're gonna say, a new truck. A new truck, we're gonna do the 2024, but know what that truck costs me? A used truck costs me
This is the
$45,000. We're probably talking cheaper than $36,000.
2025 Ford F-150 4x2, 36,275.
Trucks are high.
That's not $6.
Now, that's me. So, I have, it just says public, Josh Oakley, I have a question. So, y'all commented on purchasing 2 3/4 ton trucks. So, I drive one of those trucks, 3/4 ton, they get 13 miles a gallon, 14 miles a gallon with diesel. Maintenance is exceptionally high on those vehicles. I absolutely understand we need new vehicles, or we need a cycle that vehicles come in through some sort of cycle. What is the reason that we're buying a 3/4 ton? Because pricing on that 3/4 ton diesel truck, I'm sure it's not the $36,000 truck. What's the reason for buying that? I understand DPW, but we're moving equipment with our dump trucks, and we're moving equipment with our 2-ton trucks and stuff like that. We're not pulling an excavator around with a 3/4 ton truck. It's not possible to do that, I wouldn't believe. But why don't we, I mean, y'all need, it needs to happen. Why aren't we setting a cycle, whether it's starting at your parish manager and he gets a new truck every year and it drops in, or he and somebody, and they start dropping down in a cycle, but they are the $36,000 trucks that are baseline. Nobody needs a fancy truck to drive around. They're not riding 4 and 5 people at most times, I'm not sure, but I'm just having that comment. Is anybody thinking on that line? Because you turn around, you buy a truck that gets 20 miles a gallon, half ton with a V8, Ford or Chevrolet, same trucks, where you're buying a diesel, that does get, riding around short distances, it's gonna get 13 miles a gallon. There's a big operation cost, oil change for that diesel, turns around to being, I got it changed the other day, if somebody does, it's a $240 oil change compared to a $89, $110 oil change, you know, now y'all do it yourselves, so you take the labor out, but I don't understand, we're seeing the parish shoot up a whole bunch of 3/4 ton trucks, I don't understand what people riding around in 3/4 ton trucks, or survive.
First of all, about this too, better pickup truck. First of all, Mr. Keith Davis, he has an air compressor in his truck, equipment. That's it.
Okay.
The truck he got stayed in the shop.
Is that
every
Mr.
week.
Keith's truck though? Is this truck being given to Mr. Keith?
I know he mentioned Mr. Keith's name was one of them. I'm not
Food
sure
bank,
which one.
we have to go to the food bank. We have to,
Well,
like,
but that's
all the
the
we have to haul
Do they
around.
need to be these diesel trucks, or can they be gas engine trucks that are $10,000, $12,000 less?
You can't haul 6 pallets of vegetables from down the road from the food bank with a half-ton truck.
I'm asking, that's all I'm asking.
Well, I know if it's loaded with tools and everything, the payload, if you got, it's in your truck.
Where do we need, do we have a process to haul them down in, where these new trucks get moved and then we cycle them into new trucks again? That's where the conversation, because most of the half tons moving around in parish are carrying fuel. They're carrying people with a fuel tank in the back of them for the equipment that's moving. So it's just a question I have, because there is a difference. I would imagine that 3/4 ton diesel is double the price of a half ton.
$10,000 more probably for diesel.
We get on the state contract also.
Yeah.
Well, I understand that, but I'd imagine you're 36 to 60 probably in the difference.
You're pretty close. 36 to 61, so very close.
So I mean, but I just would hope that we're thinking on those numbers.
I didn't know that there was that low. That's pretty good. You can't beat that.
Yeah, 3 of them.
That's for the 3, and I'll tell you more.
Go to that one, you can buy a new truck for $36,000.
Well, the way the recommendation came initially out of the committee was that we buy 5 trucks, and then next year, we buy 2 more, and then the next year, we buy 2 more, and we kind of consistently stagger, we add to them. And so, that way in 10 years, if we bought 10 right now, in 10 years, we'll be buying 10 more trucks. But if we buy a couple a year, we'll just add and we'll do better the whole time.
And this conversation did, start at 10.
Yeah, they did.
It's down to 5, and they were at the meeting, Mr. Frosty and Mr. Keith spoke last week. We grateful for.
Yes, Caitlin.
They're all.
Mr. Lewis, didn't we mention that with the LBAT grants? So you can only apply for that yearly, but that money could also, we could apply for that for.
For vehicles, yes, we can. In the past, we have, for the forward, of people, we have money.
That's what I thought you already.
Not this time,
That's
this
the
time.
time, next time
But-
we apply for the
Yes.
for a vehicle or tractor or whatever.
Let's go on over.
So we got more than one.
What was the motion? Can you
She
repeat?
made a motion, she got
I
some.
made a
Give me,
motion.
let Dr. Zachary start. Give me the second.
I make a motion, I would really like to amend it, these 2 3/4 tons, these 2 be gas burners and not diesel. Right, we can do that. The gas burners, save that money, and,
How much was the truck?
But that's not for the quarter ton.
What is that for? That's not the.
So that's for the 4x2s, 36, and then for the 250s, it's 58,662, which comes out to 61,961.
Now, the 2 of them is.
I'll second you, Mr. Richard.
123,922.
It's in your packet at the end.
Mr. Richard wants us to buy two F-250, get gas runs instead of diesel runs.
Right, and we're still purchasing the 3 half tons. Is that correct? Yes, I second that.
You gotta think about the problem, this one we should help.
What is it?
It's changing the engines from the 2 3/4 tons
From diesel to
from diesel to gasoline.
So can we make a motion?
Can you make a motion to base off what you have, and they bring you a quote for the other?
We're gonna amend the F-250s to gas
still ain't.
They're still gonna get the 250 because they're gonna gasoline and fill it. Now, whoever is purchasing, that's what they can request that they want.
But we need a price. So can you do the ones that you're gonna get, that you have a price for, and then he provides you with something for
But
the.
they're gonna be cheaper than gasoline.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Just
cheaper.
know what the prices you got, you're gonna get something cheap.
Yeah, leave.
Cause if you're not gonna gas money yourself.
If we run gas burners with the fire department, it's cheaper than a diesel. A lot.
Are they all two-wheel drive trucks, or are we doing four-wheel drive?
The 3 or 2-wheel drive.
The half tons are two-wheel drive, and the 3/4 tons are four-wheel drive.
If those trucks are primarily gonna be used to run to Baton Rouge and pick up stuff, which
They're
is
not
like
gonna be used just for them. They're used for our daily operation.
I mean, I'm asking a question, but do they need people with?
All in favor? One opposed? Motion carries. One opposed.
All right, it looks like our last item here is a motion to approve monthly invoices.
I say.
Any discussion? Place on the order. All in favor?
Aye.
One opposed? Motion carries. Other with the equipment, Mr. Desmond Craig.
I don't have anything, Mr. President.
Building property, Mr. Desmond,
I don't have anything, Mr. President.
Administrative matter.
The only thing I have, I know Caitlin put something in your binders, for you all to sign, if you can sign that tonight, and get it back to her. Think that's it? Oh, I thought it. That's all I have.
Director report.
Mr. Lewis, before you go on, I don't believe I have that document.
I don't see it. I don't have it.
It's an offside.
It's in your front.
It's in the front pocket. It's stapled. It's the, education.
Don't keep it on there.
Workplace harassment.
I still don't have it.
I don't have it.
I'll wait for
I can't get no more fruit than this.
It's yours.
Look under your binder. Look your binder up. It's perfectly set underneath your binder where you can't see it. Apologize for that.
Please don't have one at all.
Thank you.
Director report come later. Okay, how many students there are?
Darrell Hill, the Director, Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness. Expecting about 1.5 inch rain this week with the low in the mid-20s. Wind chill's gonna be down toward the teens. So just kind of be prepared. The problem we had last weekend, and we've been having it every weekend just about this year. Hey, we got a storm coming in. We had trees, limbs, and everything down, power lines down on 952. They worked for about 6 hours to finally get all that done. So we just have to be ready at all times. I talked with Frosty. I said, if we're gonna have some strong winds, which we're expecting 10 to 20 mile an hour winds, you'll be having gusts up to 30. We're gonna have trees and all down again on the fair. So we're gonna be set up, ready for it. That's all I got.
So all of the bank accounts are reconciled for the month of January. The finance chairman is gonna come in on Thursday to look over those reconciled bank accounts. Our financial auditors are working on getting a budget workshop scheduled. Right now, we're looking at the second week in March, possibly on that Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm still working with Scott to get a time, hopefully after 4. I believe that time will probably work best for most of you, after 4, all jurors. And we've ordered some checks to switch over to our new program, Sage. They're working on getting everything done with that, and we should begin working in it sometime in March, gradually switching everything over. So we are doing some things with the financial advisors, been working with them, and just wanted to kind of give you an update on that.
Thank you, planning on having one additional consent planning on set a public hearing order to change it to paragraph.
So the document's been completed. Mr. Ori and Mr. Rushan have worked the document through. It's complete. Changes from the last time I was speaking up here are very little. We, if y'all would like me to go through the changes that are being brought up, I can do that.
No, we discussed that before.
Okay. Would you like to know the difference between the last time I spoke with y'all? Or do you, so there's been one change. Since that time, there was, during our public hearing, somebody requested that we allow 5 lots and below to have private gravel road or gravel access to it. Our committee voted and it was in favor of allowing, it would still be under subdivision, they would still have to go through all the engineering approvals and everything, but they would be allowed to have gravel road at 5 lots or below in the subdivision side of the ordinance. Simple subdivision will stay the same, family division stays the same. Under our zoning, we add, we go to the 2 acre lot minimums. But the only thing from the last time I presented is different is there is a request to do under 5 lots, the ability to do a gravel road or gravel private drive. So.
That is maintained by.
The
Homeowners.
So, it would increase the dimension of it to a 60-foot wide, access or servitude, so, and it would bring the road base in those situations up to a standard, which is a fairly good standard, so, but, it'll bring it to a standard that has to be inspected before it's approved. So that's brought it up. Y'all keep in mind, it's a fluid document that y'all can change as y'all wish, but we're hoping to get y'all's approval.
And it was sent to you all in an email. I don't know if you all actually got a chance to read through it and look at it. Because we received it today? Yesterday, and I don't know if, your legal counsel got a chance to look at it, so he was included in it, but I don't know if he's got a chance to look at it.
It's been, the documents have been moving around a lot for grammatical and other issues. The basis of the document's been the same for about 2.5 months, other than the addition of the gravel drive.
Will you please give a copy of the review for
Yes.
Basically, if it's presented to the jury, y'all can adopt it. You're gonna have to advertise it, have a public hearing on it, and you come back and formally adopt it after that.
I had one quick question, I know we don't discuss it, but just say with the 5 lots minimum, let's say just some person, I'm just using myself since I'm there. If I buy 10 acres, 10 acre lots, and I say, okay, I'm coming to get a plan for 5, and I wait another year and do the other 5, what is the stipulation on that, and all of a sudden I got.
Then it has to move up with, once you cross that 5 on that division of that property. Then you would have to go in and blacktop your road at that point. So it moves, it puts a cap there. Somebody brought to our public hearing the discussion about the issue about coming off gravel roads and needing an option to do gravel roads. So our gravel roads can't particularly take the traffic, so everybody kind of get to a 5-lot point and went with that direction. I'll answer any questions I can if I have. I'm sure this is gonna sound about the same a couple weeks from now. Thank you.
5:30 on 18th. 5:30 on 18th. March 18th.
Motion, I made a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Okay, move on. Public comment. Coming from the public.
Yes. Hello, Cherie Oscar, Customer Service Manager with MG. I'm here with my region manager, Feliciana. I know we're gonna be meeting on Thursday, but I just wanted to share that, we do have a franchise agreement that's up for renewal. With the Feliciana Parish, yes, it expires at the end of this year. And we look forward to, serving the parish, in the future. So we're starting our initial discussions, and we'll be able to come back to this body at some point in the near future.
Once you know the 20th, 1 o'clock here.
We're meeting with, Parish President Kim, Mr. Kim, and we'll discuss some of the, just go, we have to review with our attorney, your attorney, and we'll have some of those discussions.
That's all day, all day. Stephanie, be here.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you for coming. Any more public comment? Okay, one thing. Good afternoon, everyone. Reverend Turner from Upper Louisiana. I have 2 items. First item, I just want to state, is it possible I could get a report in March on the housing trust voucher program? Yes, sir, you can. Okay. It's only given for March. So can give me March. Okay. The second item is that it's okay for you guys to have 2-acre lots for your development, whatever. My concern is that what do you have available for the workforce housing, people that can't afford 2 acres? We discussed it in the first room, not in stone, that we have 2 acre lots. We're going to get the council plan, so we'll discuss that during the public hearing. Okay, all right, thanks for that. Then you get it, plan and zoning again, to approve advertising for the rezoning property of 13804 Highway 959. Right now, it's zone is C1, right? It can't be
Yes,
C2.
yes, sir.
You want to advertise, go ahead, bring it back up on planning and zoning, put the bracket there, make the change.
So, their intent, I believe, was C2. So, I do have a concern if we bring it back through. I don't know how all the legalities go to it, but if we bring this back through now, that we're cycling these folks all the way back through the whole situation. And I know that at this point, you're gonna have there's gonna be more conversation about it. And whether we made clerical errors, some of that stuff falls back to us as a whole sitting here, you know? Right, right. I mean, so I do have a concern that we're gonna put them in a little bit of undue.
We put it up at some weekend.
Right. So I don't know if cycling it back all the way through, I don't know what we can do. I don't know. But
I want to be fair to this program.
That's the thing. And you know, there was a whole lot of stuff. I mean, it's been back and forth and all this stuff. I'm not good for or against, but I don't want to put somebody in undue, not really distress, but I mean, to have to cycle back through this without, when they did come, and what they're doing is what we had the conversation about of what we want to do. So I mean, when they brought it to us for being able to have small parties, that type of stuff, in that right side of that building, and then the front side is gonna possibly be leased out. Daycare, there was a conversation with a clinic, a retail space, that making it into that type of situation. So, is there any way possible this doesn't have to cycle all the way back through? I don't know.
Well, you need to do something, and you need to do it pretty quick. Because what happened is, it came in as a C, a commercial. It was supposed to be a C1. That's what the sign was on the property. The sign, all the neighbors saw C1. They were riding by it and said, hey, that's a C1. This is the only thing they can do there. Now they're having big parties out there, and you're getting a lot of complaints. And now you're trying to say it's C2. So what you need to do, you need to cycle it back and say C1. That's what it was advertised for. And they need to go through the system again, because you're gonna have a problem with it pretty soon. So I thought that y'all were gonna do it tonight, bring it back, say, hey, we made a mistake, it's supposed to be C1. They can go and try to get it C2 again if they need to do that. That's what needs to happen.
I mean, I do know, I mean, I understand, everybody understands how this stuff moves. You're gonna see conversation against it. And now the meetings and everything we had, was the discussion for the One Direction. I understand the advertisement, I know where we're standing, but all I'm giving you my opinion on that, I don't know where to go with it.
We take out what the recommendations, recycling the, they had to come back and process.
You know, you could have a lot of opposition either way.
Either way,
Kind of which way you're going to.
do it right.
Y'all advertising it as C1, they're using it as C2, they're using it in violation of what it was advertised.
So what we saw in the meeting was C2, but what happened to be on the sign was C2.
That was taken what I do, it was a clerical mistake on the front.
Yeah.
On our part.
Oh, boy. Feel for that man's water, no pay, but we do, gotta do that. I know there's no breakfast anymore here.
As from who, Jerry?
From who? So we got to
Public
deal with okay. I see that right now. I feel my word for that.
If we see one, charge C2, you can't.
So C2 you can't, Joe.
C1 you can't.
Oh, C1 you can't.
C1 you can't, C2 you can't.
The C2 you can't.
Yeah.
So you say it had on the paperwork as C2.
I had advertised as C1.
Our paperwork had,
Said C2.
our paperwork had C2, so what we saw as a board and discussed, or as a commission, was C2. But what actually was stuck on the sign in front of the property
Neighbors.
was C1.
Clerical mistake on our part of
And so we knew what was, we knew the intent and had the conversation on what their intent was for, basically, if you're looking at that right side of that building was gonna be to have birthday parties or whatever and that type of deal and have gatherings of some manner. And the other section was retail. That was the discussion of what we had.
We take no, recommendations from all legal.
No.
Recycling, that's the way to do it. It could be controversial, but it's not the thing.
Or
No
just send
mistake.
it back to planning and zoning?
Yeah.
Do a public hearing?
Yeah.
I'd like to make that motion, this is your side.
All in favor? Any opposed? You got notified later on, you have to come back and advertise for the zoning place. Any more discussion? Any question from the audience?
I just wanna say something, I know we're gonna have a public hearing, and, I've been intaking maps, working with Josh. I spoke up at the planning and zoning meetings. When it does time comes to discuss the new ordinances, I would just like for you to consider the 2-acre minimum for 30-year-old families that are coming in. I know there's variances to everything. I was fortunate to be given 2 acres by my dad, so I have 2 acres in this parish. It was looked at, and the worth of it is $180,000, 2 acres. So it was given to me, but for young families coming in to start here, to buy a $180,000 lot, and then to put at minimum a $200,000 home is very expensive. I understand we're trying to slow down growth. I understand we're trying to grow healthy. Me and Josh have talked. I've listened to all the planning and zoning meetings. I know they have the right heart about it. But financially speaking, to grow with good young families, it would be very hard for some people to come in and purchase a 2-acre lot at that cost. That's just what ours ran on Gross Road. I don't know if it's like everywhere else. Just something to consider when it is time for the public hearing to consider.
Any more discussion?
I have one thing. Since KJ is here, and I know Mr. Jason McCray is on Public Works, so I was just making a suggestion, have, at least have one of these guys come in, like once a month and give us a synopsis of what's going on in our parish, because that would be nice to know. Because, you know, you have people, when I say, you can use the example, you say, okay, you put in for to get the potholes fixed, or this and that, another, that road is fixed. So my point is, when you tell folks that they keep, you call and say, did you put your order in, you be like, yeah, and they don't know, it's like, nah, he did that, and then in 4 months when they get done, they say, okay, now you finally got the word out of them. So anyways, my point is, they would come in like once a month and say, you know, just, and you gotta take the whole time and just say, we're over here, we're over this, we're doing this, next weekend is Cheatham's, doing this,
Well, we did something like that one time, and we also had a work order sheet that came out once a month that showed what the work that they did, and ask Mr. Foster to put that back in action again.
You fill out a daily report every day.
Yeah.
So that was, yes. So that's what I'm saying, you can just, every meeting, for that first meeting, something, just come up here and just comment.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
We did in the past, we do meetings.
We do have a daily worksheet that we fill out every day, just don't bring it to the meetings, but y'all are welcome to
Please do.
ask us, like, what are we doing today? I know Mr. Kyle calls and he's like, what are y'all doing today? And I don't have a problem telling him, so we do have like some type of
It's
record.
good in the past, these districts.
And we don't have that system anymore, so we can't print it.
But I'll get that, but I'm just saying, if you were, you know, like once a month,
Well, that's
somebody
the director.
the director be here.
Yeah, come make a report.
Come to the report, to the police jury meeting, I can call you all day, and my thing is have one of you guys just represent here once a month. To come up here and say, hey, look, this is what we got going on a month, and the other question we have, you don't stay up all day. And the other question we have, you can contact us later on, throughout the month with our record, but I would like to see someone up here to comment.
Okay.
Not so much for us, but for the people that's looking at us.
We just kind of start slacking a little bit.
Yeah, just for these people that look,
They're
yes.
supposed to be at every meeting.
That's for these people that's looking at us out in the community, and we tell them, we come and say, hey, yeah, we got that all, we're working on it, because everybody don't know that. I've got calls before, and I've had people to call other folks and say, hey, what's going on?
We require someone from the public.
Yes.
You be there with me.
Okay. That'd be great.
Ask a question. Any more questions?
Thank you, Mr. President. That's all I have.
Not, we can't go ahead. If you want to finish, Paul? That's exactly what you usually sign for. So we know that. We got you. That's all. You got it. You got it so fast,
Your second.
All in
She had like a big 23-acre thing. I gave her your number. She's a realtor and her client. Well, it was her client. They were both on the phone. Okay, well, I just said. She said, my client doesn't have the right, so she said, doesn't know what to ask.